Okay.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Elendi Files, where we navigate the complexities of the global regulatory landscape and quality management system of the MedTech industry. Our goal is to make global medical product regulations and MedTech industry know-how accessible to everyone, whether you're a manufacturer, intermediary, regulatory specialist, or CEO of a MedTech startup, you're in the right place. Be sure to connect with us on LinkedIn and our website, ElendiLabs.com. And this is Teddy, the General Manager of ElendiLabs. At ElendiLabs, we're all about connecting clients, be it medical product manufacturers, MedTech startups, biotech startups, with the right expertise to get products to people faster. And today I'm really thrilled to be joined by Jen from Essence Consulting Services, a firm that helps manufacturers with audits and inspection readiness and integration of regulatory requirements into real QMS, quality management system processes. We're going to be spending some time learning more about CAPA, a very important component of QMS. And Jen, thanks for being here. To kick things off, could you give us a brief introduction of yourself and what Essence Consulting Services specializes in?
Yeah. Thank you, Teddy. Thank you for having me, first of all. And if I may, I will just maybe start with a little introduction to myself and then what our company is actually providing to the market. In myself, I'm quite an experienced person. I already worked and lived in quite a few countries across Europe and South America. I have a total of almost 13 years of international experience in medical devices right now, with a total of 27 years total work experience. I'm a quality assurance and project management expert, and I've worked across EU and US markets. I'm specializing especially in rescue projects, meaning that if rescue projects, right? So meaning that if the company has a need for instance, in the area of non-conformities and CAPAs that we will be discussing today, if there are backlogs or if they have problems to deal with these kind of situations, then usually I'm called in and help them out with my expertise. I have an executive MBA of the University of Applied Sciences in Switzerland. I'm the Chief Manager of Regulatory Affairs and Quality Devices.
So both QA and
medical device, international TÜV from TÜV Rheinland. And I studied MedTech at the University of Applied Sciences in Bern as well. Yeah, and today, as you already mentioned, I'm an entrepreneur helping companies in a wide range of services, really across all of MedTech. Yeah.
And Jen, it's clearly that you're very well experienced in the QA and RA field, and you seem to be having a lot of hands-on experience in dealing with rescue cases from as requested by clients. And I know today you're going to share. You'll be focusing on CAPA, right? Can you tell us a bit more about what exactly is CAPA and what is the essence of CAPA? Yeah.
Sure. So CAPA is really the foundation, the heart, if you want, of your quality management system. Because anything that is not going as planned must have at least find some consideration into CAPA. CAPA stands for Corrective and Preventive Action. And you have two loops. You have the corrective action loop and you have the preventive action loop. The purpose of the proactive loop, the preventive action loop, is actually to prevent errors before they happen, meaning that if companies today invested more in prevention, they would greatly benefit from it later down the road, because today, as I also, my personal experience and professional experience tells me, is that the companies, they are waiting. Of course they're focused on making business and generating turnover. That is clearly the aim, but they sometimes lack a little bit the understanding that they need to really take care of their management systems. And really, what I observed over the years is that there is a certain understanding missing in terms of preventing errors from happening, right? And so what happens inevitably is that you have corrective actions and corrections that will occur as a result of not having actually taken sufficient preventive action, So it's not a problem, because CAPA will deal with both problems. As I said, the proactive approach, the preventive approach, and the corrective approach. While, as I said, preventive action deals more with the prevention of problems. Corrective action comes in when the problem has already occurred. So the problem has occurred now, and we have to determine the magnitude of the problem, and that's where actually a CAPA system will be very helpful to determine why this problem actually happened in the first place. It means you have to go through a systematic structure of actions to determine what really happened, in order to prevent it from happening again.
You just mentioned that there is this correction and corrective action. Are there any differences between a correction and a corrective action?
Yes, there are. Corrections, they are dealt with in, take for instance a product that you discover in your production cycle that is defective, but it's only an isolated problem. So what you can do is you know that it's the root cause already. You know that you don't have to investigate any further, and you just have to repair this device. And after proper repair and validation again, you can initiate it, or you can bring it back to your production cycle, for instance. So that won't be a problem. The difference between correction and corrective action is that there is no investigation into the root cause required. You know already why this problem happened, and you can actually quickly deal with it.
So correction is seems more like a solution or a fix on the spot, right? So you fix it right away.
Exactly. And it's also, if I mention this here, I can mention it now, actually. Correction is not meant to be part of the CAPA system, because, corrections, there probably will be many corrections when you're a medical device producer. And so correction will not be part of your CAPA routine, let's say, because it would clog the system. It would be too much. It would lead to, because CAPA requires some resources, we will be discussing this later on. And corrections, they are just easy problems, if I may say so.
Yeah. Could you tell us the definition or the meaning of corrective action? Is there any well-defined definition for corrective action?
Yes, the FDA, for instance, they define corrective action as action to eliminate the cause of a detected non-conformity or other undesirable situation. That's how they actually put it. It means you have to take an action to eliminate a detected non-conformity or other undesirable situation. Noting that, of course, your problem can have multiple causes. But let's say, your problem has only one root cause, right? Then corrective action is taken to prevent the error from happening again. So that means root cause analysis is required, and all the steps that I will explain later on in CAPA are required in order to assure that recurrence will definitely be prevented.
And you just gave us the meaning of corrective action. Is there also a similar definition for preventive action?
Sure. Preventive action, I'm basing here, I'm actually referencing the FDA here. Preventive action is any action to eliminate the cause of it, and now the important part is potential non-conformity or other undesirable situation. So that means the error has not occurred yet, but you already invest, your thoughts into possible errors that might happen in the future. That can be high risk events, that can, put harm to, of course, your company, but later on also, if the product is not compliant and defective, to the patient's health. This medical device will be distributed to a hospital and can cause harm. That's why it is very important and worthwhile actually already investing into looking out for potential problems to occur. And I will explain a bit later where we actually find good sources for potential risks to be found in the organization. Yeah.
And you also mentioned that according to the the definitions are based on FDA. So how do we actually find the requirements of CAPA? Are they all from FDA, or do we have any other sources?
Yeah, FDA is actually, it's funny that you mention it, because just now in February, the FDA changed its law and actually proclaimed that from now on, ISO 13485, which is the medical device management ISO, will be at the heart of FDA law. That means, they accept all the requirements from ISO 13485, and that means that, there are some changes, because previously, like the FDA was a bit, let's say, maybe very much focused on static problem finding, but now it will change. It's really, it has become now a more logical approach to finding errors, and you can find them. We have one common source now. This ISO 13485, chapters 852 and 853. These two chapters speak about corrective and preventive action, and so it's a good. We see that there is a certain let's say focus now on 13485 globally, and I think it's a good thing that facilitates also our work, as auditors, and it's better for the company as well, because they know what to focus on.
Yeah, great. It's good to see that CAPA is becoming increasingly recognized by international organizations and even the US. And what are the obstacles for introducing CAPA? As we just talked about the importance of CAPA, and why some people are not valuing the importance of CAPA enough.
Yeah, so many companies in the medical device arena, they, for instance, they are growing very quickly. I give you an example. During the pandemic, during Corona, I worked for a company that produced, respirators, right? So
respirators, yeah, okay.
and yeah, and they were of course in high demand during the pandemic, and the company it grew really fast. It had to really make sure it met the demands of the market, and which always a big risk in these cases is that while you're concentrating of producing as many units as possible to satisfy the demand, of course quality has to actually step up and will be able to accompany this development. And this is just one example. The company did well in the end. So I'm not specifically talking about this company, but what I saw every time I worked in the field of CAPA for our customers, I saw that most of the companies, they were putting out fires. That's why actually they were calling me in the first place, because they needed a qualified consultant in order to reduce their backlogs, and I could do it. And but it is still, from my perspective, it is a sort of reactive mode, right? So it didn't have the structured approach yet to deal with it, and I came in. So back to your question, the question is really, so most companies today, they might still be in a very reactive mode, for dealing with CAPAs and NCs. It is sort of understandable, because the company is there to make money in the first place, right? But the product requires a lot of compliance. The product, medical device, and pharma even more so. And so, it's not easy, to keep everything under control at the same time. So, but that's what we are there for, right? I mean, I'm happy to be working in this area and to help organizations with their struggles. Yeah.
Yeah, I get that many companies might tend to focus on the short-term benefits, the money-making part, but having a robust CAPA system is like a long-term investment. That's why they might overlook on the importance of having a robust CAPA system, because they're too focused on making money, especially during COVID. You have to compete against other potential competitors in order to outcompete them, right? You have to focus on the productivity, and every business decision has to be made in a split second. So that's why. And
that's right.
I just mentioned we also agree that CAPA is a long-term investment. And what are the potential benefits of having a stable, robust CAPA system?
Well, the benefits is really, well, first of all, I will tell you that the medical device and pharmaceutical companies, they have to know that they can shape it according to their own needs, right? So it means the benefits will be really what they make out of it. But I can tell you just a few maybe benefits that comes to my mind when I think of CAPA. Is you will identify discrepancies and non-conformities, adverse trends, using statistical methods. You will really be monitoring what's going on inside your company and even with your suppliers. It prioritizes quality problems for investigation. That means if you have several quality issues at the same time, you will be able to actually prioritize one issue and maybe deal with another issue later on when you have more and resources. So this is really a big advantage. So CAPA is really a system that can be employed for any issue. Doesn't have to be even a very severe issue if you have resources for it, let's say. Otherwise, of course, you focus on the high-risk issues that you need to resolve within your organization. But I would say, from my experience, it really helps to deal with almost everything. Once you have it established, it will help you resolving many questions. In the beginning, it seems to be very, let's say, resource intensive, because people will tell you, yeah, but now we have another thing that we have to deal with. Now we have maybe we have weekly meetings now for CAPA, and we don't have time. We have to focus on our core business or our core activity. But you will see it will pay off over time, because it's a structured approach, and it will help everything to clear out everything over time in your organization if you employ it correctly.
Yeah. And how do we execute like a good or a robust CAPA system? Are there any subsystems of CAPA that help us to, manage our quality or complaints more effectively and more efficiently?
What do you mean exactly by subsystems?
Like, I don't know. Maybe any loops or any feedback mechanism for CAPA.
Well, yeah, in order to understand maybe CAPA better, we are talking about, let's say, an internal loop and an external loop of CAPA. So the CAPA system, in the middle and around it, you have the loops. The internal loop will deal with, for instance, in-house audit findings, test reports, control records, whatever you have. For instance, while the external loop is dealing more with customer complaints, external audit findings, and maybe recalls, or for instance.
This is the internal loop, right? Or the external?
So internal loop is everything that goes on. So quality records that will be generated specifically inside your organization. That is like internal audit findings, statistical processes, control charts, test reports, change control records, etc. In the other one, the external loop, is focusing more on the external part. Whenever something out of your internal environment happens, for instance, with suppliers, or customers, you get a supplier query. You have a problem, an issue with your supplier. That is your, an essential part that will be delivered to you is not functioning well or is defective. And, this would be something to be investigated in the CAPA together with the supplier, or external audit findings. Let's take the FDA for instance. You have FDA investigations. It is something, of course, that will concern this is about your quality system, but it is actually a determination that is made outside your company. You cannot really take influence. You cannot really influence it. While in the internal loop, this is your sphere of influence, and you can still influence it and determine everything. But I would recommend, especially the external loop is to be watched and monitored very well, because, suppliers, as in my experience as a supplier quality engineer, it is very important to monitor the quality of your suppliers. because there again, they might have the same issue. They want to actually only, do business. Of course, they want to be correct and everything else, but they don't understand, for instance, what you need the product they are delivering to you for. And so you have to make the determination, and you have to actually
conduct audit.
Put the require. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, audit them. Yeah, audit is very important part. Yes, exactly. And you have to also monitor. For instance, like AD reports. If you detect some non-conformities coming from your supplier, it's very important to follow up on this and to really demand that they are investigating their problems. Right? I saw so many things when I worked for Johnson & Johnson in Switzerland as a supplier quality engineer. So many things happening, and many times they just wanted to say, okay, we corrected the problem. They put okay, we will maybe not, we will give you another part, we will substitute, we will pay the money back, or, but that's not the point, The point is we have to be sure that the quality of the devices you're delivering is correct. Yeah.
I think you just mentioned the external loop and the internal loop, and it seems to me that there is a workflow for CAPA process. Is there any an overview or high level structure of this CAPA process?
Sure, Teddy. I will give you an overview of the high level overview of the CAPA process as I implemented myself already in some companies, just to give you and the audience an idea of how this actually works. So you have, at the beginning, you have a CAPA initiation. So somebody says there is a problem. It can be anybody out of the company, can be anybody. Usually it's somebody that is close to where the actual problem is located. But initiation of a CAPA is an easy thing. So anybody in the organization, would exaggerate, but even the cleaning lady could open, let's say, a CAPA request, right? So the CAPA initiator will have to report the issue to the CAPA manager. The CAPA manager, in turn, will then verify whether for this specific problem a CAPA has already been opened. Okay. Then, if this is the case, then the CAPA initiator will be told that there is already an existing CAPA. Thank you very much for letting us know, but we are already dealing with it. In most cases, however, it will be a new CAPA, and then we have to continue with a CAPA draft, a request. That means we have to actually put the details, where this problem happened, who observed it, can we already determine the consequences? Is it necessary to contain the problem by taking immediate actions, etc.? So this would be one of the first steps to take. How critical is it? Can we contain it? Is it still within our reach? Is it already outside of our reach? What are we going to do next? Then there will be, and I'm really an advocate for this measure. Many CAPA systems that I knew had customers, they didn't have it, but I'm strongly supporting to create.
Hello, Jen. I think I lost you
there. CAPA review board. Will yes.
Yeah. We're good now. Yeah.
Okay. Where did we stop? So the
CAPA review.
Once CAPA review board. Right. It is, in my view, it is necessary to keep real close track of the problem, and also to involve management. This involve management to a certain extent. Of course, if you can do it without much management involvement, it's even better because management has to do what they have to do. But it's good also to know that management is on the same page with you and knows about the problems that are going on. The request will just take the data, all that we know about the CAPA, when it happened, who observed it, and maybe already mentioned the containment actions, so immediate actions that you can actually take in this very moment. Then this CAPA request has to be approved by the CAPA review board. And once it has been approved, then the next step starts with carrying out a root cause analysis. So what is the actual root cause of the problem, right? And we have some tools that help us with this task. We have fishbone, for instance, called fishbone because it looks like a fishbone. It's Ishikawa, actually. You will certainly know that. Ishikawa fishbone. And there's another method that I like very much, and I employed a lot while working as a supplier quality engineer. It is the 5 why method. 5 why method, I like it very much because it's very easy to understand, and it's almost every time leads to the correct results. You start out by actually asking the question why a certain event happened. And then when you give the answer, you convert the answer into the next question. Okay, let's say, the machine had a malfunction. Okay, and you say, why did the machine have a malfunction? And then you have to investigate deeper. Why did it have the malfunction? And you go deeper and deeper every layer until you really come to the exclusive root cause. It's great. I love it. It's really one of my favorite quality methods. Yeah. So the CAPA owner will execute ideally these tasks. Then we need again the approval of the root cause analysis. Once the root cause is presented to the CAPA review board again, CAPA review board has to approve it, and the next step on the list would be to establish a CAPA plan. A CAPA plan means we have to, now that we know what the root cause of the problem is, we have to determine now appropriate actions in order to counter or in order to remediate this problem. And there are several options. As we talked about earlier, we have like immediate actions that can be taken if the problem is actually new and urgent. We have corrective actions, and preventive actions that can be taken. So the CAPA review board, the person, competent people together, they will actually draw these solutions, immediate actions. They will define these actions according to the root cause analysis. Then this CAPA plan, this action plan has to be approved again by the CAPA review board. Then the next step, obviously, once it has been approved, if there are questions, etc., you deal with it. But once these immediate actions or actions in general are approved, then you actually go about and implement your actions. So the actions need to be implemented. And at the end, when the actions have been properly implemented, and we can say, okay, now we have to observe the implemented measures. What, do we see the problem reappearing or not, with these measures implemented? And of course, now you have to think, you have the measures implemented. Now, how do you verify the effectiveness? So you have to determine, what's the criteria actually, the pass criteria for you where you can really say with beyond any doubt that the problem has been completely resolved. So that means you need a verification of effectiveness plan. It will also be approved by the CAPA review board. And then usually a certain time will pass. You will observe if the problem occurs or not. And if not, the results of the verification of effectiveness are presented to the CAPA review board again, to management, and together they will decide whether this CAPA can be closed. If the measures have been effective, then the CAPA will be closed. If not, then the CAPA cannot continue, but it will rather be, a new CAPA will be opened, and somewhere in the process, an error was committed, and so in order to prevent any structural error, you will start over again.
Okay. So this
is that is a typical description of a process. Yeah.
Thank you so much for going through like a complete cycle of a CAPA. And
welcome.
I'm thinking, apart from your experience with the respirators, do you have any other cases or case studies that you might want to disclose, that you might things that you find interesting, things that you might want to share with us, how you use the 5 whys of fish bones to analyze the root cause, and then how you solve them.
Well, I can tell you of a personal success story in terms of CAPA NC. I had it's just one that comes to my mind immediately when I think about it. But of course, it's not. There are quite a few success stories, fortunately. But this one, maybe in particular, I like to remember. A couple of years ago, when I worked as a RAQM consultant, I was called to help on a rescue mission to a medical device manufacturer in Switzerland. The mission was to reduce a high number of backlogs consisting of non-conformities and CAPAs. And these CAPAs, they had accumulated over a longer period of time. So they were not asking me to implement like a CAPA structure, because they were so at this very moment, they were desperate and they needed a quick resolution to their problems. So I was called to help immediately, and that's what I do. Most of the problems they had were actually happening in production. In production, right?
Medical devices. What type of medical device?
It was medical device, exactly. Yeah, it was for medical devices. It was not a critical medical device, but still, it was very annoying, this problem, really, because it required them to actually have an examination at the end of the production line, every time, and you to sort out what product the root cause of the problem. And I stepped in. And by means of observation, of course, I had time as well, because everybody was busy with their tasks. I had time for observation and interviews with responsible staff. And I got some also from the company of subject matter experts and quality assurance specialists. And we could identify the root causes of most of the recurring problems they had within a few days, actually. So it really was, after that, it was evident to everybody what the problem was. There were several problems, actually. And then we turned to, putting this, our new game out of CAPA application technique. And we actually, the CAPAs, they had already a CAPA system and also a non-conformity system running. But the system had not actually shown progress for some time, due to lack of resources, due to lack of know-how. And of course, CAPA techniques were beyond any question. So we meticulously documented the approach to determining the root cause. Exactly just what I mentioned before, you go through the single steps of the process. And we started out by actually determining the root cause of the problem, because the problem was already known. Now we knew why it actually happened. We had to actually document it. And right, so we had to document the root cause, and then we created some kind of provisional CAPA review board. And together with management, it was very interested at the time of finding a solution to the problem. And we actually, so I had to create this board. I have to remember really, and we defined corrective and preventive actions, to be taken. While we were working on the resolution of the quality problems, so corrective and preventive actions were taken, implemented. At the same time, I spearheaded actually the creation of the proper NC and CAPA process. So, I wanted them really to be able to, after I had left the company, to be able to deal with any kind of quality issue of this kind on their own, So I shaped a CAPA process for them, and we implemented it into the organization.
Okay.
And at the end, corrective and preventive actions were implemented. The backlog was reduced to nothing within a few weeks, and the process was released and implemented. And it was great. They were very grateful, really, at the time. That's why I liked it very much, because they were very helpful, So they knew they were not working, again, not defy reality. They really wanted to solve the problem, and they put everything at my disposal also, experts, personnel, to resolve the problem. And together, we could resolve the problem very quickly.
So you really put out fire in the backyard.
Yes.
Okay.
It was a rewarding experience. Yeah.
It was quite an experience. And thank you so much for Jen's hands-on experience, and thank you again for sharing your perspective with us today. And for everyone listening or reading the transcripts, we'll be featuring Essence Consulting Services as our better specialist firm on our platform. Thanks again for joining us. I will see you on the platform. If you haven't checked our website, please head to ElendiLabs.com and be sure to connect with us on LinkedIn.